Today we're going to be, again, it's market talk, right? We
Mhm.
got a positive day. We actually had the Biden administration release the executive order or orders, which I'm going to go and I'm going to show everybody. And I got to give a nice golf clap for Will, because if you guys been watching this show, if you've subscribed and you've been liking it, we've been calling the bottom constantly. If you see the charts, the
Yeah.
technical analysis that we've been providing, you know where the market's going. Watch the show and you can see it. So we have the charts. We're going to go through all of that. But first, we got to put the disclaimer up, right, Will? All
Yes.
right. So I'm going to have that up and we'll see everybody in a bit.
See you in a bit.
All right, we're back. I can't wait to show you guys like the new branding, the new logo, and just this kick-ass platform. I'm so excited for it. I'm gonna just surprise all of you with that.
Yeah, we got some good stuff coming down the pipe with all this stuff. I'm excited. Good
Yes,
stuff.
sir. All right. So the big news that's out there, we see it across. Let me just do a search on Bitcoin, crypto, and you're going to see this executive order from the Biden administration come out. And I just wanted to share the screen with everybody because we're all about research here. You know, there's so many times in this space you hear something from a friend. It's the telephone game. Things get misunderstood. You guys got to learn to do your own research. That applies to any type of financial material you've got.
I think it's important for me to wear a suit. You think I
Right?
would be like, if I wore a suit, that I would get more viewers? Because I noticed that a lot of analysts that wear suits have a lot of viewers. I
Really?
think it makes,
Okay.
well, it makes a huge difference. It's
Well,
like
if you,
it's like you get smarter by wearing black.
I don't know. I see on Shark Tank they're always wearing the suits, but then underneath they're wearing the shorts and the sneakers. It's just the top up.
Yeah, you just see the top up.
That's it. All right, but real quick, I am on the actual whitehouse.gov/briefing-room. This is the official website, obviously. Um, Now, when people are saying that there's an executive order, I do want to just put out there that there's multiple briefings. So right here, it's not just one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot of statements. There's a lot of stuff relating towards digital assets that are being put out there. So get onto this, read into it. This isn't something that's just like a paragraph. You know, here's just one section here. We got a list. It's another part. It goes on and on and on. Like this is like the biggest one. But I think a safe, brief summary as to all of it is that the administration they're looking more positive towards digital assets. They are taking a look into AML policies, right? So money laundering,
Mhm.
KYC policies, making sure everyone's being safe. I saw the word affordable. I mean, I don't know how that really connects, but affordable financial services.
Yeah,
Also,
and
does
there's
make sense. It
fighting
makes sense neutral.
volatility, and it's funny when they're like, "Oh, we need to protect consumers because crypto is volatile." Hello, COVID crash. Did that ring any
Yeah,
bells? Like that wasn't just crypto; that was everybody.
yeah,
So sometimes they just need to show a mirror up to themselves. So
very true.
yeah,
All right, but so that's out there. You're going to see stuff from all these other news programs. A lot of it, to me, it's always kind of like clickbait, right? You know, like, oh, it's just released, and then that's all that they have to say. Go find the actual real briefings and read through it. I think everybody should know about this kind of stuff. That's all I'm going to say. We don't have to get political. Executive orders out, read through it. Simple as that.
it signals to me that they're finally taking it seriously. So it's a good thing, and as you would expect, the markets reacted very positively to this.
Yeah.
We've been hearing rumblings of this, like the precursors to this, as far back as 2019. I remember Congress was having meetings about this, and they were like kind of trying to test the waters and figure it out for like the longest time. Right. And then the Libra thing happened with Facebook, and they were taken a little bit more seriously. And I remember, I think it was like the later part of 2019, they started talking about like, hey, maybe we can make our own digital dollar.
Yeah. Well, when Tether really started to get into news, I think that's when governments were like, "What is this? What's going on with this Tether thing?"
Yeah.
All right, but let's get into the actual markets, because last night about 8 or 9 p.m. there was like the executive order leak that kind of came out across like the social media platforms, and Bitcoin started to move. And a lot of people saw that as kind of like, all right, this it looks like it could be positive, and things started to move. And then today, BTC is up more than 10%.
Yeah. Let's put
So
up a
it looks
chart.
like
We'll
looks
take a
like
look.
we're liking it.
I love it. I love it. It's nice to be right.
Very true.
Where can I put it here?
All right, so we got the screen up. We're good to share. I always got it. Remember, we're live, so I just got to confirm that. All right, here we are. So the other thing I like with these videos is you guys can go back and look at the prior videos. We always go live talking about this stuff. It's not like, we're editing our stuff and then putting it up and changing it. We're always talking about this live. And for that very purpose, we want to be as transparent as possible. We're in the moment and we're showing you our opinions and thought process this entire time. So Willie, you've been right, spot on. That's it. Gotta give you credit.
I mean, yeah, just remember when we were in this bear trend early in the year, I said we're going to hit a bottom around this log trend line. I circled it in blue, and lo and behold, we went right into that zone and bounced. And then I said, well, we're coming out of this resistance. Typically what happens when you have a descending wedge breakout is that you come back to touch that descending wedge again. And we touched this, and I circled it again a second time.
Yeah.
And we had this literally a perfect touch.
If we could only reach out and like the monitors, so we'll have like the Flourishing AI metaverse. So if you got the VR goggles on, we're like shaking you. Listen to us. Not financial advice. Look at this chart.
It's just funny. So, and I said that time, remember we were on video, I said these people are going to make the most money in the next bull run. Buying right here at this apex is perfect. Then we came out, I drew another circle here. I said, this is another buy zone. If it comes back here, like this is your last chance.
Yep, that's it.
And what we had this little bull run, which was triggered from this Russia bank sanctions, if you remember. Came right back down. It was pulled down from the equities side. You can see this correlation, right? Came right into this final zone, final time. It's like, hey, last chance to buy it here. And then it zoomed right back up. And now we've created this larger pattern. This wedge here has been created, which is a very bullish structure. So at this point, what's going to happen, I think the likely scenario is that we come right around here, this top, and then we break to the upside like I drew here with this green line last time. We're just going to come right up and out. That's my expectation.
So for this market talk, I got to figure out a way so that we could have this screen expanded more, but then also so we're not blocking the x-axis, so we can actually see like the dates and everything, so we're not covering it.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's on me with this. That's just with this software. So I'll have a solution for that next time.
Yeah, no problem.
But,
and I think
right now we're
pointed
going
this out
back
in
up.
the chat. I'll move this over so you can see the dates here. You see what I circled down here? You know what this stuff down here is? These are all stable coins. They're all different. There's so many different stable coins out there right now. And as you know, every stable coin has to equal $1. That's their goal. And there's various different ways to make that happen. What can happen is, let's say somebody wants to buy a whole bunch of crypto with their stable coins. There's two parts to that trade. You got to sell the stable coins and then buy the crypto, right?
Yeah.
You're selling on one side and buying on the other side. Makes sense? So when that happens, the value of that stablecoin temporarily goes under $1. That's called the depeg, right? So it's kind of
Not
bouncing
stable.
it, rubber bands back, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of rubber band. Look what happened to these stablecoins. You can see where $1 is. It's like really obvious,
Yep.
right? You can see it. Look at all these like things where they got sold off. These are all when they dip down is when the stablecoins are being sold off. A whole bunch of them over this whole period of time we were in this zone here. All the stablecoins are selling off. On the other side, if you're in Flourishing Capital community chat, you'll see Fate was posting a lot in this time too about blockchain movement and
Yep.
how like money was moving to wallets constantly, and how major whale wallets that are highly correlated with Bitcoin are moving money around. Those are all tells. Those are all tells, and even though the news at the time was very bearish
Hmm.
about the circumstances and everything's going down, you can see the evidence that people were actually voting with their feet in a different direction, as it were, right? Like they were actually making the opposing trade from what the news would have been telling you at that time.
Well, you've also said, I think so this was just from separate videos, not for like the market talk, but in the Flourishing AI AMAs that we had. I think it was from like since January. You said there was a lot of just cash, just waiting on the sidelines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just waiting there the whole time. And
Yeah.
now I think we're starting to see it being put to use, right? So this is like the
Mm-hmm.
exchange now. This is the flip side.
So it comes into crypto. So people exited the market, like we talked about this months
Oh
ago.
yeah, I mean, look at those dips.
First
Like,
day in January, people were selling
yeah,
everything. They sold everything. Like the
yeah,
moment the market opened in January, right?
yeah. Look at the
And
wicks
so all
there
that
on that
money
for
went to
the
cash. It was literally sitting in a bank in cash. So to come back into crypto, usually first you have to go into Bitcoin and then buy other stuff with that Bitcoin if you're going from a bank. And I'm talking specifically about large funded accounts. Like there's these smaller on ramps that exist now that'll allow you to buy directly. For example, Uplink, well, you can buy BNB directly, but
yeah.
there's a limit, right? Because we can only process credit cards. If you want to do like $100,000 purchase, your routes are very limited how to do that. There's only a few places you can do that type of trading. Like I want to get back into crypto with $500,000 of cash,
People can't fulfill that, and that's actually probably a reason again behind this executive order that came out. So to make sure that that cash, whatever that large amount is, being tracked for sure.
Well, if you think about it too, like the government has a very valid reason to be concerned about Tether specifically,
Oh yeah,
because
what is it backed by?
banks have been working with Tether to offer this conversion from real cash to stablecoins. And it's not even just Tether. Well, Tether is the worst offender of this. It's not a big of a deal for ones like USDC, which are fully collateralized. That means that Circle, the company that owns USDC, actually has the same amount of cash in a bank that they have
Yep.
stablecoins.
Reserved. Yep.
Now, the problem with Tether is that they only have a fraction of the amount in cash than they do of stablecoins. Why is that a problem? Because what they've essentially done is created real money out of thin air. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Literally, like you go into your printer and you're just printing it out.
They
But
literally printed money
instead
out
of
of thin
printing it,
air.
you're
And this
just
is
clicking
why
a
the
button.
Fed is concerned
Yeah.
about it. Right? So if they're 50% collateralized, let's say, and they have $1 billion in Tether, that means that they've created $500 million out of thin air. And what's that going to do to the value of the US dollar if $500 million just came out of nothing? Right?
And
That's
then
the
in the fact
concern.
that US dollar is also being again transitioned into that USDT, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that disconnect. You're printing something that's we're gonna get people having crazy opinions about this, but just based again, I'm agreeing with you. Tether's just printing this out or just clicking a button to then create something, but then you have the real fiat here, which
Yeah.
they could say is being printed the same thing, but it's different.
Fix that out of the way. Yeah, I mean, and it's not to say that the FOMC isn't doing exactly the same thing,
But
right?
what
But
we
they're
can
being
say,
called out because this private company has basically figured out that they can do the same thing the Fed does, right?
the difference here, I would say then, is the disconnect. So if the Fed was printing, if the Fed and Tether were printing at the same rate, then that's fine. But if the Fed is printing at like a specific rate and then Tether just comes out of nowhere and says, okay, a billion USDT, now there's a disconnect, right? Uh, now it's not cohesive. It's not connected.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. So they have to decide, are they going to work with Tether or not?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're going to come out with their own, and then they're going to say
Yeah.
use Tether.
Well, then they're going to come up with this, they're going to try to shut Tether down because it's a loose cannon for them,
Yeah.
right? And that has been the fear in crypto for years. Is this kind of background noise you always hear about every once in a while? Like, is the government going to shut Tether down? Right?
Yeah. I actually want to pull up this screen just because we were just talking about stable coins. I'm just on CoinGecko. A lot of people are still kind of unfamiliar that they release categories, which I kind of like. So you're just doing your research, and one of the categories is just stable coins. But I remember when it was it was literally just Tether, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where again it all kind of started. It was Bitfinex, I believe, that
Yeah.
released it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at I mean, look, I mean, magic internet money. I mean, we've got there's a whole bunch of them now, right? I mean,
Yep.
who knows what these are at the bottom, but the top ones is there's more and more and more coming out.
Yeah.
I
And
think the
I'm
scary
still,
one,
like I've mentioned this a few times, I'm a firm believer that there should be a stable coin that is inflation adjusted. Like that, ultimately, that's the job of the Fed to make something like that.
yeah.
But if somebody else comes along and makes it, I think there'd be a lot of demand for it.
So one, and we can get maybe a little political just out of curiosity and just opinion based. So Binance USD, right? So we are dealing with China Binance, but then we have USDC Circle, and then USDT. So USDT is more global, right?
Mhm.
USDC, would you say that that's global or US Circle? I
I
would
mean, it's a
say
U.S. entity, but
US.
I mean, it's good that they're U.S. entity because they're more strictly regulated than some of the other ones. So
Yeah.
if you were able to get all the blessings of being a U.S. based crypto company, like you can pretty much operate anywhere.
Yeah. But now here's the big one. So BUSD. This is not, from my understanding, this is not US based, right? This is Binance. So China, all the crazy stuff that's kind of happening now, right? China could literally keep printing BUSD if they want to. No, I mean not China, Binance.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they have the mint function on it. That's something I actually don't know. But if they did,
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, this the other ones I was making a joke. I don't know that much about, like Frax. I mean, Dai I know of, but I think Dai is actually on Coinbase Pro as well. But like Magic Internet Money, I'm not sure what that's about. I mean, you got Tether Gold now,
mm-hmm.
Gemini Dollar that has actually been around for quite some time. But yeah, I mean, imagine if some of these other ones just start printing away, and I don't know, could cause some issues.
Yeah, yeah.
On that note, just because I have the screen up here, another thing that just actually happened earlier today, after the whole executive order. So Dubai, they're now coming out with new regulations as well, and it's interesting to see the timeline of this because, as you know, French Finance Connection, right? So FCF,
Mm-hmm.
they are heading to the Dubai um, conference. So Dubai literally came out with this new regulation, and ironically, their uh, event is next week, I believe. Just funny timing, right? Isn't this like the kind of stuff that's like these guys are going to be amped? This is you guys are going to see some sick like yacht parties, emirate parties. This could be an event to remember for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that.
So this just came out. I don't know enough about this, but for those just research, I'll put in. to buy crypto. You'll see all the news popping up, but this literally just happened. Figured I put it up. Interesting timing again, though, that they have their conference next week.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go back to charts here for a bit. So we started with Bitcoin, and now these are kind of major cap alts here, Ethereum and Binance Coin, which I track as kind of the beginnings, right? Like as I've said in the past, money will go to Bitcoin, major alts, then to these smaller alts. It kind of is a trickle down effect. These aren't broken out yet in Ethereum, but you see it tried to break out here and
So
failed.
the top is ETH, the bottom is
Yep.
BNB,
BNB,
right?
yeah.
Got it.
BNB is accumulating in the range.
Yep.
And this is a really healthy accumulation. We've established a pretty strong bottom here around 360 or so. So this, I believe, to break to the upside once it crosses this Fibonacci level, this is 618, which also corresponds to kind of this level here with Ethereum. So as long as Bitcoin
we showed that last week as well.
and goes up.
The charting you had last week, it showed all three of these basically ready to just pop. They were all at that uptick.
Yeah, well, see, we got like one last chance here. Like I said here when I circled this, because this almost broke out this time. So we had this bank sanction on Russia, then it caused people to think about crypto, and then it popped up here, right? But it got rejected.
Do you have another cursor besides that, the one that you're using? Because that one's kind of gets like invisible. Do you have like an actual cursor and not like that hand that you're using?
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's like a ghost. Yeah. You got like a ghost effect.
That's very strange. It's actually white on my screen and it's black on yours. That's very weird.
Yeah, it goes on and off. Not sure what that's about.
That's very strange. So anyway, we get a bullish structure here, right? And then so this will pop, and then you can see, which one you want to do based off of the amount of returns that you expect, right? If we get up here, it's back to this will be a natural resistance, right? This capitulation.
That would be 20% back up to 52 around.
Yeah, so I expect this to be a natural resistance area here, right? So from the current price, we'll get up to about this Fibonacci level, which is also 618, which is also this resistance here from this capitulation in the fall. And this is about 30% from here.
Yep.
Right. We'll correspond that here. If we go up to around here, again, that's
almost the same.
40% for Ethereum. And about 40% for BNB, which about makes sense. And once we get to this area again, it's going to be where it gets interesting. Go ahead.
They're all based on the same target. So 40, 35, 40%. They're based on the same lines. Mm-hmm. It was interesting to see on the last run that we had in terms of like multipliers. I feel like BNB definitely outperformed the rest. Out of like the large caps, I think BNB kind of has the most room to kind of grow. Mm-hmm. Is that safe to say, or do you think still? And I know a lot of people keep talking about like ETH to like 10,000. So,
well, it's ETH layer 2 now, right?
Yeah.
So you got to talk about things like Avalanche and Optimism and things like that.
Well, what do you think? So we're just showing the next area of resistance, but in terms of, I guess, like again, like government policy. I mean, this mandate, the executive order that just came out was extremely positive. I mean, that's how people are receiving it. Again, you guys got to go into the site, read through it. I believe there's going to be another discussion for interest rates. Is that, I think, still in March? I think they're going to still talk about that.
Yeah, I mean
So
the
what else? I mean,
FOMC hasn't indicated like any sort of divergence yet from their original plan. I mean, they kind of reduced a little bit what they think the March rate hike would be. I think the people were pricing in a 50 basis point one, and now they're talking about 25. But I mean, like I said before, you got to realize a lot of the inflation is oil.
yeah,
And
I'm actually
since we
just
got the
pulling it up
CPI
now.
numbers, oil has only gone up,
Yeah,
right?
insane. That's actually my next question. I mean, where do you think that? I mean, so with oil and with any of these, we could always go back, right? We could go back to other dates, years. And with oil, there's been times when it has had spikes, but crypto has also been like in its infancy stage. So I guess it's not really fair to do a direct comparison. But with oil doing this, I mean, do you think that's going to have an effect on um, Bitcoin and like the larger cap digital assets? I guess
It's going
it
to
looks like it's
have
kind
a
of pulling
domino
it up,
effect
but
of everything. Like if oil's not under control here and it hits one, I mean, people are calling for 150, right? It's
I hear
some
people
people
saying
called 300.
200.
I
I'm
think
like,
that's
yo, that's
crazy.
insane.
150 a barrel, if it stays up in this range, will have just completely disastrous effects across the board.
So could you explain that? I know we're heading a little bit away from crypto aspect, but why do you feel like the 150 is the disastrous part?
Well, it's because the world mostly runs on oil still. Like in regards to us trying many different ways to get into renewable energy and all these things, it's still mostly run on oil, honestly. So when that oil becomes expensive, it's not just about your gas becoming expensive. Transportation becomes expensive.
Oh yeah,
Travel becomes expensive at all, like flights, like air, freight travel, like everything.
well a
The
lot of people
manufacturing of many different items like are made out of plastic, which is made out of oil.
just gonna say
Like
like your
my
toothbrush,
computing speakers are
your
made out of
toothbrush.
oil, right?
Yeah, it's insane. Any all plastics, oil. Exactly. That's the one thing I was gonna bring up.
Yeah, like this plastic cover on my phone is made out of oil, right?
So you
Um,
really feel like that 150? That's the number to stay away from.
that is what a lot of Wall Street is calling as the upper bound, and you can see what I have on the bottom here in purple is the short interest
Uh-huh.
from FINRA to of oil futures, and you can see that it's starting to climb up pretty aggressively now when we hit in this range for oil.
Yep.
Like kind of this, people are expecting this to come down, and you can see us in the short interest here, as well as this green is an inverse 3x leveraged inverse for oil futures.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but so how far back does this chart go for you? Can you pull this back like years or?
Yeah, I can show you.
And do we
Let's
have an overlay for BTC on this same graph or no?
I can make one. Yeah. So people
Because I just
often talk
want to
about
see that
this
last
price.
spike. And I know we're way. I mean, a year is huge in crypto space in terms of adoption and all that, the good stuff. But I'm curious to know if there was a spike with that, or if things were just normal. I don't know. I mean,
The
we'll see
relationship
BTC
between
back
oil
at
and
like $5.
so you can only really go back. I mean, I could tell you that just even this range here is not going to correlate with Bitcoin, but we can chart over here, sure.
Oh yeah, the chart's already in like 2004. BTC wasn't even around back then, so
This, I mean, people often try to figure out, you know, is
yeah.
Bitcoin correlated to equities? Because we talked about this for a while. Like, is there a high correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P? And it turns out that is actually true. Another thing that people talk about is Bitcoin correlated to gold or oil, right? So we have let me hide this one. We'll hide the S&P. We'll hide the VPVR. So Bitcoin's in green,
Yeah.
oil is in white.
Wow, look at that green chart though. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. So that
I
was the
mean,
27,000 to 52,
let
the green.
me take this percent off and do a logs of this. When the oil futures went negative, screws up the log scale. It's a little hard to write this down. Try to
I know I put
rescale
you on
it.
the spot for this one. I just wanted this. I was just curious to know about it.
No problem.
So that huge dip. I mean, that was 2020. That was Corona, right?
Mm-hmm. And obviously, everything dipped. Everything crashed during that.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that. Freaking just looking at the oil price though.
Mm-hmm. You
So
see, there
oil.
is a correlation here between oil and Bitcoin for this second peak we had in the summer and fall.
So oil was at $18. If I'm reading that correctly. The
That's the 80. There's the $80.
No, the lowest point. Sorry,
Oh, the
from
lowest.
2020. Yeah,
Well, I mean this is oil futures, so it literally it
wow.
literally went to negative, right?
Yeah, but imagine getting in at that to where we are now. I mean, that I think that would have been the best play ever. No, damn.
Yeah, yeah. If you were willing to, if you had balls of steel, sure.
All right, so it looks like there looked like there was a somewhat of a correlation. We're looking at 2020 and going on, just that there was that other dip. I mean, our head is actually there now.
Mm-hmm. You see that this isn't really correlated. This top from 2017 wasn't correlated with oil.
So what happened again in June? So of 21, where BTC then dipped and then went back up. That's kind of interesting. Just looking at these
Mm,
two charts because oil just keeps kind of going, but BTC had that dip.
that was the summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. The S&P kept going up during that time. You see here, it's just on a rocket. The S&P the whole time. That's the gray one here.
Yep.
Well, we talked about this in April, I think May of last year, why this dip happened. And you have to really contextualize it. Let me bring the Bitcoin chart back up here and we'll zoom out. Sorry for the messiness. I talked about this at the time. The reason this happened, why we dipped, is because of all the people that bought the COVID crash, right? Everybody bought this, and then you fast forward 1 year, which is almost exactly the second peak,
Yep. See
right?
it?
So basically, what happened? This is 365 days, trough to peak, and you know why that is, right? It's because they get to sell and get preferential tax treatment after 1 year. So
Yep.
that's exactly what everybody did.
Yep. They waited for it.
Right? So that caused this dump in Bitcoin,
Yep.
as well as many other assets that people bought in the COVID crash. Right?
Yep. Big money just unloading at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And what's weird is that this kind of does tend to happen year after year after year, and we kind of say that a lot, but then some of us still hold on to it, even though it's like, but it could keep going. You have that like mentality, like
Yeah.
it's gonna go, but this does happen every freaking January, around like Chinese New Year, right? It just sells off.
Yeah. I
But
mean, taxes,
this
when
time
a
can be
lot of
different.
price action is controlled by taxes. It's
Yeah.
the same reason why everybody waited to January 3rd to sell everything this year. Because the S&P had this huge run up last year. Nobody wanted to sell it and have taxes paid in last year's tax return.
Yep.
So they all waited to the market open on January 3rd and dumped the market. And then it created this whole downtrend. It's the same setup as this, honestly. The same one. Look, the yellow line is January 3rd. That was the market top for this.
We should have a segment on market talk, literally just on um, like tax days, basically, not on taxes, but like the correlation of all this, because that would be interesting itself.
Yeah. Did you have to realize, like, if you're trading millions of dollars of crypto, you're going to play by the rules because the consequences if you get caught
Hey,
doing
we're all
that and
playing by
not
the
playing
rules.
by the rules are so disastrous that it's just, you're going to do it. Right?
Yep. Well, I mean, taxes, we've got March. So March is here, April coming up, right? I mean, taxes are coming again due. And typically now we start to see kind of like everything kind of goes back up, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, for retail, it's retail works this way, right? But if you are a high net worth individual, the chances are you're paying quarterly taxes, not yearly taxes,
Yep.
right? So it's less of an effect.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we're somewhat positive. Let the bull run commence, right? Is that fair to say? Does it look like we're
Yeah,
somewhat positive?
let's go back to Bitcoin.
As long as I hate to go the political route, but as long as things stay relatively safe, oil doesn't hit 150. I mean, unless
Well,
we could just have a
we're
crazy
starting
shit
to
show, because we
decorrelate. You
we
see
we
this?
what was this for?
We're starting to decorrelate crypto from S&P. S&P is still in this bearish setup, and
Yep.
crypto dumped before, and now it's just accumulating for a breakout. So this is good. This is a good thing.
Because we I think we are proud to say that we're not always talking about the positive side of things. We do sometimes. I mean, we got to say both sides, right? The negative. So positive, neutral, negative. In the event that somehow negative future, I mean, what? I mean, I guess if gas gets to or the crude oil gets to 150, is everything just gonna like just shit itself completely, or
The
that's
economy will just grind to a halt. Let's be honest. That's
yeah,
what will happen. So I would hope that, and you see governments are scrambling now. You see,
oh
like
yeah,
they're scrambling, like, oh, where
yeah,
can we get oil? Who can we talk to get oil?
deals
It's
are being made.
serious.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm seeing it now. I just paid 80, $70, $80 to fill up my car. So I'm sure those with trucks are over like $100.
Yeah,
it's,
like I
it's
said
definitely getting
though,
there.
there's the news, and then there's what people are actually doing, and they don't tell you, right? Smart traders won't tell you what they're doing usually.
Yeah.
You see it in the action. See, the short interest is a tell, right? The short interest was going down this
So
whole time, even
where's
though
the
oil
mouse
was
now
going
so I
up.
could see
People
it?
weren't shorting it.
Got it. I just again your mouse is like black on the screen. I got to figure out. We got to fix that. It's like invisible. So where
Yeah,
were you showing it? Right here, the purple
this
going up.
purple on the
Gotcha.
bottom here.
Yep.
Can you see? No, wait. Yeah, you
I
see
can see
the.
that. Yeah.
This is actually, you know what? I'll circle it.
Nice.
Short
Okay.
interest. You see this is spiking now. That means that now that it's above this,
They're expecting it to go back down, basically, right?
to kind of equalize at least to some level below where it is now. Because if it doesn't, it's going to be really bad, and
All those
everybody knows
shorts,
that.
those all those shorts are also going to get liquidated if it keeps going up, right? And then that's like a double loss. No.
Yeah, and this price is mainly controlled by OPEC and gas companies, right? So the shortage in supply from the Russia ordeal, at least in WTI, which is American Texas oil, it's only 3%. So if you follow like an efficient market theory, that should only make the price go up by like 3% or so, right?
Yeah.
But in
Not
fact,
not with
it's
this.
gone up.
Not from what we're seeing.
So
Definitely not
yeah,
3%. Yeah,
so 3% of it is the shortage. The rest of it is profiteering.
for sure. Well, we all know not to be monopolistic, but if money's to be made, they're going to pull the trigger on that, right? Best interest
Mhm.
is your own. That's it. We've seen that time and time again. So worst case scenario, oil 150, and then basically all economies kind of freeze a bit, and things got to be straightened out. Maybe that's like the shock everybody needs.
Well, it's just such an obvious short at 150 that people are going to try to short it before that, right? So it's going to front run it. So I don't. If 150 is truly the top, it'll actually top before 150, which we've kind of seen here with this candle.
Yeah, push it
Right?
right back down. Yep.
I tried to reach, but it's starting to close before and create a doji.
I'm writing that down. So I definitely want to have videos. So for those, well, I think for this stuff, I think we're good. So I'm gonna take the chart away.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out in the universe. I don't want to see 150 right now.
Nobody does.
But so Will and I mean, we're talking also with Eric, so Flourishing Community. For those that are tuning in for the Market Talk segment that aren't aware, so Flourishing AI, they have created an entire AI based, I'm not going to say the word bot, right? But Fate, who makes her own decisions. And she constantly provides us indicators. And honestly, it's valuable data from a blockchain aspect, statistics, straight into your Telegram and web based dashboard. But we've been talking about, again, this market talk segment and making it more educational. So I'm just taking notes, to have a video just on like taxes correlations, to go over different like candlestick charts. This is the kind of stuff I feel like a lot of people, well, everybody sees, right? We all visually see it on the charts, but we don't, some people just don't understand what it entails, right? So understanding what these candles or dojis represent.
Yeah, there's a lot of candlestick patterns, and technical analysis is a whole field. But you have to understand it in context of the fundamentals, the economy, the bigger picture, like all these things.
Yeah. All right. Today it looks like it's a positive day. Again, BTC is shooting up. So just to do like a brief summary, the executive order is out. There's multiple briefings of that directly on the actual White House website. So read up on that. Don't just take somebody else's summary or opinion on it. Go read into it.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Go
B,
ahead.
well,
Go
all
ahead.
three, BTC, ETH, BNB, they all three look like they're ready to rip. The accumulation stage is either ongoing or it's like ready to be done.
We should do a video too as to how you know if alt season is beginning, which
Okay.
is that's a whole video just in itself.
So like the BTC dominance, that kind of stuff.
It has to do with BTC dominance. It has to do with charting market cap in terms of Bitcoin, right? Things like that.
Okay. Well,
Because you can see prices come up in dollars, but they're going down in Bitcoin. Right? And that means that alt season has not started.
always depends who you talk to on Twitter, especially. You always see like altcoin season started, and then everything starts to crash, and you're like, "Yo, where are you getting this information from?" I will again give you credit. So for those that are at this part, go look at the prior videos that we've shown. Go look at the TA. We've shown multiple times on the bottoms, right? All the charting is there. We're doing this live. We are at that 40-minute time frame. So your opinion, crypto market, good? We're good right now.
Good. All
Positive.
good things. I think that we've seen the bottom. That is my current observation. And I think it's up from here.
Please.
Finally. It's been a long winter, as it were, right?
Crypto winter. This year has been definitely long. I'll tell you that. I feel it. We need bring some life into this. All right, Will, thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for your expertise and your time. I appreciate that. I do hope everybody else does as well. As always, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, follow us. And I also put Flourishing AI, the link to the Telegram website, everything is in the description. Join their group, ask questions. And if you are a trader, even if you're not a trader, if you're new at trading, if you are an intermediate or an expert, check out Fate. So just ask, how to connect with Fate, because it's an extra tool set. You can actually ask her questions. You could get these charts. You could get cool insider info. I like it. It's pretty cool.
It's great even just for the research part of it. A lot of these things, figuring out where the support and resistance, doing linear regression and all this stuff is very math heavy and taxing to a person to do all the time. Fate does all that for you. It's
So there was one thing. So before we end it for real this time, you had added something to Fate. It had to do with exchanges? What was like the most recent update for that? I forgot. I know that you're probably doing like a bunch of updates, but there was one that gave like a good indicator or something.
So we're working on a thing that's coming out really soon, which allows you to manually trade. So what'll happen, instead of Fate automatically doing trades for you, it'll tell you like, here's a trade you could take that I think is really good. And I think you should buy between these prices and sell at this price and use this much of your portfolio to do it. And then you can then optionally say, yes, I want to do this trade, or no, I don't want to do it. That way you have the power to decide whether Fate should make a particular trade or not based off of your own, analysis of the market. I feel
So
like
that's
this is a piece that has been missing.
so that's something that you're going to be implementing. But there was something that you guys added. I'm going to try and find it.
The network congestion stuff, maybe that.
Yeah, so the congestion. Yeah, it was that. So blockchain, when it gets congested, that's when you could sometimes see like large price action.
Yeah, we saw it happen. I think it was last night. We saw blockchain start getting congested, and I think it was before the price pumped.
Okay.
So,
But this is data that I don't even think that. So like myself, if I go onto CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, I can't see this. Like I don't have access to this type of data, right?
you,
I'm, I'm
it's
not
just
going to
not
know it's
available
congested.
unless you want to run your own node and write a whole bunch of code to sit here and analyze markets 24/7. Sure, knock yourself out. You want to take
How
that
am I going
project
to do
on.
that? All right. So, but Fate, she does all that for us. So again, this just it's additional info that anybody can leverage by just sending out a message to her, right? And she gets it. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's end it. Will, thank you. We'll see
Thanks for
everybody in
having me.
Telegram, and we'll see you guys next week for another Market Talk segment. Hopefully, we get even higher. All
Yeah,
right.
exciting.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.